Hey y'all, this is TCA Gaming, and in this YouTube video we are going to cover the pre-release Raichu. I told you guys that if something else happened, I would try to keep you up to date. And so if you haven't heard already, which you probably have if you follow the pre-release Raichu, and if you haven't, then it's news and you still have plenty of time if you want to bid on it, but it is available and in auction now. This is the first time ever that the pre-release Raichu has went to public auction, and it's doing so on Heritage. So let me get my big face into a little face. There we go. So if you go to ha.com, so if you just search, let me get rid of these other tabs. So to get here, if you go ha.com, you'll wind up at Heritage Auctions. Sign up for an account. If you have a PayPal account, you can just log in through that. But then you come over here and you put in Pokemon. And I have it sorted by price highest first. So the very first item is going to be this one and only pre-release Raichu. The stamp looks a little weird. I don't know if that's just the scan. I don't know, it just seems brighter for some reason. But it wouldn't surprise me if they did a little something. Well, no, it kind of looks right there. Maybe it's just the way the lighting's coming out on it, because the card itself does look a little exposed, so maybe they brighten the image up a little bit. But yeah, so like you can get high quality resolution scans of this card all the way down to the stamp. And yeah, this is the one graded by PSA, the only one ever graded by PSA. You can see right now your secret maximum bid of $100,000 has been outbid. So once I saw this, I went ahead and put in $1,000 or $100,000 bid, and I was the high bidder. I made a post about it, but as soon as I made a post about it, someone went in and outbid me. So, but the reason I do that is because I don't know if it's still like this, but to be qualified for the extended bidding, you have to be one of the original bidders. And so I went ahead and made sure that I was one of the original bidders. Now, whether or not I want to spend this much money, I don't know. I'm not even going to think about it. I'm going to wait until we get a little closer, because this could easily get way out of my range, and I'm not even going to be a player at all. Because at the moment, if I went to bid, say, $110,000, so let me show you. If I hit place bid, it's going to show me that I have to bid. That's actually $137,000 that you're paying, $137,500. And so if you do the math, if you take 20% off of the 110, what is that? I think this is a 25%. Oh, it says it right there, 25%. So that's the buyer's premium, which is a huge amount. So whatever amount that you actually bid on anything that's on Heritage, you're going to be paying 25% more. That's why they can sell like to people who want to buy from, or who want to actually auction on their site. They're like, oh, we'll pay you 115% of the hammer price. That might be true, but it's because the buyer is paying 125% of whatever they bid. And it's just a way to use that word that Dan likes to say, that he can say it so well, and I can't for some reason, obfuscate. Basically, it just kind of like hides the actual price that you're paying. Otherwise, why couldn't I just bid $137,500 and pay $137,500? And it's just a way to kind of make it a little bit more. I've had somebody explain it to me before. Like, people will actually pay more going this way rather than the other way because it doesn't look like as much when they're putting it in. I really don't know, but they're not hiding the price. It's right there. It's $137,500, but that's definitely smaller, and it's not the amount that you're putting in, so it feels differently. And so, and when you go to pay for insurance, I imagine that's going to be based off of the total value, including the buyer's premium, and not just your actual minimum bid. And when it's advertised what it sold for, they're not going to say, hey, this sold for $110,000. They're going to say, hey, it sold for $137,500, because that's like the actual final price. That's what you're paying. And even that really isn't the final price, because you're going to have to pay shipping, taxes, insurance, all that stuff. Now, if you have a resale tax and use permit, then you don't have to pay sales tax. They do accept that here, like most places should, but apparently TCG Player does not. I did get resolution on that. They did finally get back the store credit after I talked with another guy on a completely separate issue, but he was willing to talk with me. So definitely appreciate that guy for working with me there. But he did say, yeah, they don't accept that anymore. You just got to go through your tax account and try to get money back for it. So I've never heard of that, especially not from a professional company. But yeah, Heritage, they do take that, so you can get sales tax removed. if you plan to resell it and you provide them with the resale and tax use permit, and you may have to fill out an E595 if you know what that is. But anyways, yeah, so the next minimum bid is 110,000. I think everybody that I've spoken with expects this to go between $200,000 and $250,000. But also, it would not surprise me or some of the people that I've talked with that it would go 500,000. If it went a million, I mean, then you're talking about like setting records for a card, especially for, I mean, you have to understand this card is more about the provenance. Is it actually real? The fact that PSA graded it and there is provenance behind it, that's what people want to bid on. They want to bid on that confidence. If it was a 10, that would be wonderful, but it's not going to happen. This one's a 6. It's not terrible. It's display worthy. At least it's got a grade condition grade on it, and it's been certified and backed up by PSA. I don't know if they have like a limit on how much they actually cover a card for. But yeah, so this is really exciting. The very first time we've ever seen a public sale for pre-release Raichu, and it's the only one that's been graded by PSA. One of 3 that's been graded by any company. The other 2 were CGC. I personally have the 5.5. Dave Person, he's got the 8. And then this 6 right here belongs to an unknown source, at least unknown public source, and is being auctioned through Heritage. And so you can see it's got 17 days left, and there's really not too much more to say about it other than this is where it's at already. I expect it probably to be more than I'm willing to pay for it, maybe if I didn't already have one. But at the same time, I would love to own the only PSA graded copy as well. Plus the fact that these all loop to the same source, I think that's great. If you haven't seen the other videos I have on pre-release Raichu, kind of going through the information that's publicly available on them, it does give more history into from where this card was graded, how it was graded, where it come from. There's not a super ton amount of public information on it, but it is cool to see this card. If you're around back in the PokeGym days, even prior to that, I mean, this is like just one of the cards of legend. So to see the final, like whatever the final price is, it'll be what it'll be. I would love to have gotten it for 50 grand, but that was never going to happen. But if it hit a million, I think people would be like, this is a wow factor. But I don't know that too many people would be surprised if it went something crazy like that, especially in this market right now. I mean, there's not a whole lot of hype for cards that are like one-offs and this kind of deal, but this is still one of the top grails that you can get, and so it will definitely be interesting. Now, besides this, there are other items here, and so in the past when I've covered stuff from Heritage, you guys have liked those videos, so let's talk about some of this other stuff. So we have the Pokemon card game 25th anniversary creatures deck. So this is going to go for a pretty penny. I would love to bid on this as well. Like if I knew that I wouldn't win the Raichu, maybe this would be something I'd be willing to pay up for. It's already at $33,750, which it's probably going to go it's going to go quite a bit more than that, just because the Chansey and the Charizard inside of it, that I imagine they've got a decent chance at grading high. This looks to be like a sealed box, which is super cool because the estimate that I've seen thrown around, I don't know about any of the official numbers, is like 200 to 300 of these were given out to employees. It talks about all the information here. There's 27 different cards. Several of them are exclusive, but a lot of them like honor different cards throughout the history of Pokemon. And there is a base set Charizard in here. There's a weird looking Chansey, and some other things that are super cool, and they're actually in the deck, and every single one of them bring a lot of money because this was an official thing put out by Pokemon. There's no doubt that there's provenance behind these things being real. And so they have commanded a premium from the very beginning. The cheapest I heard of anyone ever getting one of these is like $14,000, and that was like a fluke because the dude was like immediately getting $50,000, $60,000 offers after that. I know of a guy who got a couple for $40,000 for the entire deck, and I haven't kept up with it too much since then because I don't have those direct connections to employees that are still at Pokemon. At least I don't think I do anyways. Maybe there's people in hiding talking with me and I don't know that they're employed there. But yeah, it's a really cool item, so it's probably going to go for a lot more than that. You see, got a German first edition base set box. Here's a unique card. I think we did see one recently go. But got a Charmander imprinted on the back side of a Magic the Gathering card. Pikachu recently sold. I can't remember the price on it, but Radar's probably facilitating this from a WotC employee. He had several of these cards. I know he was trying to sell the Pikachu for a while, and then he was doing some charity stuff too. So probably going to, if this is the same kind of deal, I imagine some of this might be going to charity too, but I don't want to speak out of turn. So maybe it's not, maybe it is. It really, it's up to them if that's what's going on. Who knows? Might not even be his. Maybe this is one that's already been sold and it's going through somebody else. But anyways, best of luck to Radar. He's a great guy. He's always facilitating some pretty high-end stuff. It's cool to see. But I imagine at one point or another, this went through his hands. All right, going down through here, I'm not really going to talk about the games or the artworks. It's not really my lane, so I'll be talking about stuff that I don't have that much information on. Now, Uncut sheets, you guys know I like them. Here we have a Sparkle Chrome Uncut sheet, and I'm going to keep going down this list. I know we're down to $1,000 already for bids, but it's so early in Heritage. You're going to see stuff down here that is going to be in the thousands in time. It's just not there yet because a lot of times these auction houses, it takes a while for these items to take off, and sometimes things go under the radar, so you might want to stick around because there might be something here that you are interested in that you could get for really cheap. But Sparkle Chrome, I believe this is so much cooler than the Techno Chrome. However, it's not quite as rare, but if it had been, like if they had made this the one of two, man, there might be like a huge gap between this and Techno. But technically, the Techno is harder to find than the Sparkle. I was trying to zoom in. Let me zoom in this way. There we go. Let's zoom in on that Sparkle Charizard. There we go. At one point, there was all 4 variants, I believe, of these sheets that went through an auction house. All right, scrolling down, you see there's some more of those disco hollow prints. Got some team-up packs. Like, if you want 4 team-up packs, there you go. And whether or not they're unweighed, I really don't know. Here's an uncut sheet for Fossil. I believe the last few of these went between $5,000 and $6,000. I could be wrong, though. I think 3 or 4 of them went all at the same time. There's another team-up group lot. Look at this, a Pristine. Got a Charizard GX. I think there's a CGC one as well. No Rarity Charizard. Here, I mean, we have some just like random hollows, Japanese hollows, random English hollows, non-hollows, first edition, shadowless. For some reason, there's always a few of these just like lots of cards. And I've tried buying them in the past, but they do pretty well. Like they get a pretty decent price on here. Got some alternate arts, but like, look at this. I mean, this is a Latias GX CGC 10. I know it's not the PSA 10. The PSA 10's about $8,500 or so right now. I want to say the last sale was 82, or the lowest sale in the past week or so was around 82 on eBay, but it's only at $100, so that's obviously going to go up. There's not as much traffic that goes through a site like this, where if this had been on eBay, it probably would already be in the $5,000, $6,000, or maybe $5,000 range. I'm not really sure what the Gem at 10 brings. If it was a PSA 10, it'd probably already be up in like the $5,000, $6,000 range, even though it's still going to end higher. But this right here, $100. Like, how many people have even bid on this thing? And you could probably go in here and look at it, see if it's going to be like if it would had a decent shot at pulling a 10. Some people might cross over, or they might just keep it in the CGC 10 because they get it for so low. Got some more groups of just random cards. Most of these look to be vintage. I'm not sure how many cards are going to be in these lots. It could just be that front page, or there could be multiple pages. They'll have all of them pictured out. But let's scroll on down through here. This Snorlax, I saw it and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should get this for my wife, because she's trying to collect all the Snorlaxes, and while I know I could get this one probably for pretty cheap raw, it's cool to see in a 10 because there's usually centering issues, and the edges aren't that great. And then the reverse hollow, while it is really sensitive with the Diamond and Pearl era, the crosshatch does make it a little bit harder to see. I'll use that obfuscate word. Man, I'm gonna practice saying that. I'm gonna get good at it. All right, scrolling down through here, there's one of the Munch promos. So you got the Rowlet, got some jumbos. There's that Pristine Charizard GX, only at $20. You know, I mean, it's going to do well. People like the Pristine label. In general, it brings a little bit more than the PSA 10. Sometimes it brings a lot more, but then there's certain cards, if it's low pop, like say the Persian from Gym Challenge, is actually not going to do as well, or it usually doesn't do as well. Maybe in the long run it does. I saw some of these. These were kind of cool. They have the word test printed on them. And they've been graded by PSA. So I've seen a few of these around, but I don't know much about them. So they do look kind of cool. The fact that PSA graded them, I believe, is going to help them bring a premium. And so I'm going to be watching them just to see where they go, how the prices end up, because there are several of these if you're looking for more. Here's one of the creature deck cards. This is a 10. This is just one of the energies. I know the current bid is only $15, but it's going to go a lot higher than that. I can tell you that. Pretty much every card from that creatures deck is going to do very, very well. Of course, the energies are going to be the lowest out of everything, but they're still going to do well. All right, moving on down here through Championship Arena. That's going to do well. Really nice card. There's another one of those tests. Got the Monferno. Look at this. Sylveon VMAX English Pristine 10. Like, if I bought this one, I would immediately have it sent in so I could have the gold and black crosshatch, like textured Pristine 10, because I think it'd be worth it. Here's something cool. Pokemon Championship 2000. Got some memorabilia. That looks like maybe a bag right there with the original base set Blastoise, Venusaur, Charizard. Got a t-shirt, a hat, a little keychain, and then it looks like a little card that you clip onto your shirt. So that kind of stuff, I know there's several people in the hobby that collect those kinds of things. I used to. I thought they were kind of cool, but I don't ever put them out on display. So now if I get them in, I just kind of I usually push them on out, but they are so cool to see. Just it takes you to a memory, I think, more so than a dollar sign. A lot of cards take you to a dollar sign now, but this kind of stuff, you think about a time, like just a specific little moment in time where it's represented for where there was probably some kid or some young teenager, and they were battling it out before anybody really cared, except probably everybody who's in the room and their families. I don't know. Yeah, I like it. I just like thinking and seeing those things, but I don't necessarily need them for my collection. It's not something that I collect. Look at this. An unlimited edition opened booster box. Could be some potential there. I would assume since it's open, they're guaranteeing they were all together. You have all 36 packs. So if you're a breaker, you could buy something like this at a potential discount. But when you get it in, I'd probably check the box, make sure you got 12 heavies in there. But since it's not sealed, it's probably going to go for a decent amount less. There was a jungle box up there too. And look at this stuff. I mean, this is at $1. You have first edition fossil open booster box. Again, some more potential here. Dan, if you're listening, maybe me and you will be going at it together, but somebody like him, I imagine this would be a good buy if they can sell this kind of stuff as unweighed, put it into the stream, or just sell the heavies and grade the lights or do something like that. Look at that. Mega Charizard, number 69 from Flashfire. This isn't the gold number 108, but it's still a really cool card. It's basically the exact same artwork, just doesn't have that gold accent over where you see that silver in the middle below his face. That's going to be gold, and around the edges will have like a gold accent for the ultra rare. Some other cool cards. I mean, you got the Dark Charizard first edition, one of 5 English first editions, and it's in a Gem Mint 10. It's the only non-holographic first edition Charizard that was ever printed, at least on the English side. Some more cool cards. You guys know I like this one. I'm going to be a player on it most likely. I'm not buying these for $300 anymore. They've definitely went up in value, but still looks really cool. A lot of other decent stuff here. I thought there might have been one item I wanted to look at because I saw a picture of it and I was like, wait a minute. I don't see it now. Looks like they're still uploading pictures for these items here. There was a group lot of items that I saw, and I was like, wait a minute, maybe we should check that. If you guys see it again, I didn't see it scrolling down through here, I don't think, but it was like a Japanese card lot, and it looked like it had a computer error in it. And if you guys are familiar, there is a Japanese computer error with a red R that's pretty common. However, there is a trophy level computer error that has a red or it has a white R. And so it's always good to check anytime you see a Japanese lot and it has a computer error in it, just to make sure it's not the Comex Battle Trophy card, which I don't even see the lot anymore. It's like it's disappeared. Because these are all VMAXs. I don't know. It was somewhere. Maybe it wasn't even this site. I don't know. I could have swore it was right there. Let me look at the bottom of this one. Because I was like, I'm going to check this in real time, and maybe we'll discover a card that I hadn't seen before. Yeah, there it is. I don't know why it wasn't on the other one. So, all right, here we go. Let's look at it. Oh, it's the red R. So I'll zoom in just a little bit so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So this R right here, you can see it has a red aura kind of around the R. If that's ever just like white, then you've got a trophy level card. Not crazy expensive, but worth a whole lot more than. Well, I'm trying to get back to zooming and running into issues. Like some of these cards are still really nice, but that would have been, a whole nother level of card if it had that background. I don't know why it's not showing on the new page when I search. I guess because maybe these are just active items and these aren't. This is including non-active items. But anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't bought from Heritage before, make sure you sign up. You have about 2 weeks to figure it out, and you can go in there and buy some of this stuff. You do have to create an account. I believe they set limits, or at least some auction houses do, so they might as well. So make sure that you reach out to them with your financials and let them know, I plan on bidding on this. Do I have a limit? Will I be able to do that? Because if you're limited in how much you can bid and you're trying to do it last second, you're not going to have time to change that up before the end of the auction. So you might have to provide financials. So make sure you get in there, talk with Heritage, make sure you can bid on the items before it gets down to the last minute. You got a few weeks right now before these items end. They typically have new blocks and new items coming through quite often for Pokemon, and a lot of times they just kind of skirt underneath the radar, so there might be something really niche that you're looking for that just pops up there and you find a good deal. It's happened to me before. It doesn't happen quite as often now because I think it is on the radar of a lot of the big collectors out there, both Heritage and Huggins and Scott, and you got Golden Auctions, and you have all these other auction houses that do this kind of thing with Pokemon now. So it is more well known, but it's still nowhere near as liquid and as well known as items that show up on eBay. Like typically things on there they just scoot through super quickly. You can almost guess what the price is going to be before it even ends. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you're going to bid on the Raichu, just let me know if there's anybody here that's actually listening that is going to bid on that Raichu, knowing what the price is right now. I mean, I guess you don't tell me what you're going to bid, but also if you're not bidding, what do you think it's going to end at? Because I think that's what everybody is wanting to know. Where is it going to end? I think it's going to end between 200 and 250,000. That's just a random guess. But like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if it went way higher. If it went below 200,000 at this point, I think I'd be kind of surprised. I think it would surprise me, but I could be wrong. It's just a pre-release Raichu. It's not one of those. It's not a corporate deck history, or it doesn't have the history of like a corporate deck where there's an official release. Pokemon's like, yeah, we released this, we gave it out, and so we put our name behind it. This is supposedly just an accident, something that happened, something of mythical legend that happened, 25 years ago. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll try to have some more coming out very soon. Thanks.